Last week we arrived in Cooma and got a very warm welcome. This place can be stunning, but equally damaging. The Iveco was the terrain's first casualty.
That's our front CV broken.
This week the terrain isn't any kinder.
You can definitely turn left, definitely can't turn right.
We'll have to be resourceful.
We're waiting around for what feels like forever. And next thing you know, we hear this rumble over the hill.
For what it is, ancient tyres, a welded rear diff, it's incredibly capable. And today, it was my saviour.
Back in action.
And persistent.
We're struggling for grip.
If we are ever going to conquer Cooma.
There's a lot of oil here.
Yep, we've done the stuff.
Will we make it? Find out on this week's episode of Life Off-Road. It's another beautiful day here at Cooma, and we're straight into the tracks. All the guys are ready to go. We have Sam with the Offline Campers 300, Matt in the Carbon Off-Road Amarok, Rob with the Ford Ranger Raptor, and Damien in the... Damien?
The big Isuzu clunk. Heavy truck, may have just overloaded that CV a little bit.
Day 2 was a day.
Truck issues, Damo. Mine's back at camp with a busted double carbon joint in the front right.
Yeah, I think the Iveco's infected it, unfortunately.
Turn right!
They're assessing the car. He can definitely turn left, definitely can't turn right.
We suspect it's broken the front right uni joint / CV.
Yeah, but instead of just, it's rock solid.
And Damo's like, I've got an idea.
I had to muck around for half an hour trying to do a 550-point turn to get back to camp.
Should have bought a Nissan.
I have a Nissan.
Well, why didn't you bring it?
Well, it's in a lot of pieces.
Well, so will this one be?
I didn't have much to do tonight, so it's good I've got a job.
Conveniently, the club have a 80 series LandCruiser here in pristine condition.
One tyre's inflated.
Today, it was my saviour. Hasn't run in a while, so put some air in the tyres. It's got a completely dead battery, so obviously jump pack.
The backup vehicle is running.
Jerry-rigged that under the bonnet so it would stay running. Does anyone have a copy? Fantastic, the radio works.
We've brought the 80 farm truck back to life. It's idling like a baby. We are ready to go. So let's get it off those stumps, get back on the tracks and keep the adventure going.
Well, what could possibly go wrong?
We're on our way up.
Back in action. And honestly, we've gained capability.
We're waiting around for what feels like forever. And next thing you know, we hear this rumble over the hill. Over he comes in this beaten up old 80 series.
We're back.
Big lift, big tyres.
Very cool. Looks like it's been tumbled down a hill though.
Now we can have a real crack.
Yeah, mate.
Both campers are hooked up again to the vehicles.
We're headed off as a convoy being led by the 80 series.
We approached the gully. It makes a lot of sense for the convoy to follow the designated track, but we thought, well, just a quick little detour, we'll drop into the centre and a nice little scrabbly climb out would just warm us up for some of the things that are coming ahead.
We're driving next to him across the creek. It was awesome.
Damo comes up the creek, over a couple boulders and straight back up out the bush.
That's all of it. It's not exactly an Isuzu MPS.
They were talking about this other lookout they were going to take us to.
It's very, very shaly and loose. You need to keep the momentum up, you need to keep the speed up.
Scrambly, rocky, steep climb. To the left as you're scrambling up, awesome views.
If you slow down, there's just not enough traction to get going again.
He's just crawling all the way up. This old beaten up 80 series, making it look way too easy.
Just nailed it, first shot, awesome.
Up the hill, Damo and Ziggy are finished having their play. Another glorious day, playing in the rocks. we start the ascent. Hopefully today's as good as it was yesterday. Yesterday was pretty spectacular. Ascending this rocky outcrop, having to really focus on the lines that you pick. So you're going right to left, trying to get up this track while trying to ignore the awesome views out to the left. You're going like this. We got to the top. Whew, that was fun.
Tell you what, Dad, I'm looking for another good view today. It was good yesterday, but I think we can do better.
Well, I'm not sure about that. Yesterday was superb. And the terrain is fantastic here. If we ever get up the hill.
Man, I just misjudged it.
This weekend, I'd been sleeping in a bushwhacker penthouse rooftop tent. But whilst that was stuck back at camp with the busted truck, the offline lads had their beds in tow, and Sam with the raker was already struggling.
I'm just going to have a second crack at that hill. Rob, would you mind just backing up a bit for me, please?
Roger.
We sort of knew the campers would struggle up there a little bit, not because of the camper itself, just the weight and the drag. If you slow down, there's just not enough traction to get going again.
If I'm lucky, Sam won't make it up the hill at all, which means I don't have to.
Here we go again.
Set up with airbags, coil springs and twin shocks, slotted into a fully galvanised steel chassis, the Raker is definitely a true off-road camper that thrives in these conditions and is only limited by your ability to drive.
I find campers like that really deceiving. They're just incredible. You couldn't do what they're doing with those camper trailers with any sort of off-road caravan. I've been very impressed by them.
Yeah, rear locker, Rob, and just keep moving with a bit more speed than I had the first time. You'll be right.
Rear locker.
Watching these guys tow these offline campers up this rocky track, suspension works absolutely awesome.
Yeah, well, that was interesting. That was good. Well done, Chicken. High five. High five. Very nice.
How'd you go, Rob?
Rob's still not talking to you, Sam.
Danger exhaust. It's twisted up under the vehicle.
And now Sam owes me a muffler.
It's okay. I'll smooth them over with my charm later. But as we crest the hill and we start the decline down the other side, the descent, straight away rewarded with this another stunning view, opposite direction to what we saw the day before. Beautiful farmland, looking through the gum trees, and every time you turn around on this property, there's something cool to look at.
We could be back at home doing a million other things apart from this, but you know where I'd like to be? Right here, right now.
Not a bad office for the day.
Yeah, exactly.
About 150 metres from there, we have a pretty cool comp track called Helicopter Pass.
Of course, Damo in the 80 series puts his hand up. He's like, I'll find a way. In he goes.
There's pretty much one way in, but on the other side you can go straight, you can go left and climb the rock section, or to the right-hand side, and there's a really, really steep climb.
This is one of those few times where you actually can legally go off-road. By off-road we mean off gazetted roads. Being on private property, these guys have got access to do pretty much what they like, but it's all about managed, responsible, minimised risk, having some fun and testing their vehicles, which these guys are a competition-based club. So this property is specifically purchased, set up and run for competition practice, and they also run events here.
So it turned out the right line was pretty much the one that was right in front of us the whole time. It looked the steepest, it looked the most challenging from where we were standing, but actually it was the most grippy, it was the nicest at the top, and basically you could just put your foot into it and just drive your way to the top.
I was able to watch Sam go through it first. I just basically got to the bottom of the gully and then gunned it.
We made it out alive, Rob.
Oh, can't believe that.
So everyone got straight up the hill very easily in the end, but I don't think Damo was quite happy with that. I think the fact that he got straight up is a bit too boring.
You gotta be kidding me.
So down he goes, back in again.
There's a really loose, big undulated climb.
He goes flying up, there's scratching of trees down the side, there's dust going everywhere. Oh, the 80 series was like spinning the wheels and basically going nowhere, and there's this lip at the top. I thought Damo was stuck.
Because what was happening is when we were trying to reverse back down the hill, it was climbing the rock face and it wanted to roll over. Because the 80's got no mirrors.
I can't even see what's next to me.
With Zig's guidance, we're actually able to get into a position where the front was a bit stuck. So So the rear skipped across. And that gave me the room I needed to reverse back down and have a real go. Turned to the left and got out of there. A little bit of fun.
So what I've got here is a whole stack of deer prints. Wild deer in Australia are actually feral introduced animals. They're not native and they do a reasonable amount of damage. We have a huge, very successful hunting industry in Australia, but especially in Victoria now and other states, we're at risk of losing a lot of our state forest where it's legal to go in there and hunt these game or invasive species. If we lose more state forest, we're going to lose massive tracts of land where we can monitor, maintain, cull those animals and do it in a very responsible and ethical manner. That means they're being harvested by hunters who cherish, respect and utilise that meat. Well guys, we've been on this track for absolutely hours. We've lost the big truck, the Isuzu's back at the campground, and we're still searching for this lookout. It's getting late in the afternoon, we haven't had lunch yet, but let's keep pushing on.
It's a lovely and scenic drive, but there's a section on your way up that's quite steep. The campers found themselves having to slow down a little bit, but the byproduct of slowing down means you lose that momentum. And unfortunately, the Raptor got stuck.
Rob, what's happening down there?
We got stuck halfway up the hill, just lost traction.
Track's pretty tight, we're making our way down.
Matt came back down to pull the Raptor up that particular section of track, and it's a really awkward place to be stuck.
Please save me, Simon.
You often park here?
Mate, I'll never be parking here ever again.
He's brought out this awesome new kinetic rope. I just call it like a modern version of a snatch strap.
The Carbon Offroad kinetic rope, it's simple, it's light, really effective.
Oh, this looks cool. I've never used one of these before. This is the second time Matt's products have saved me.
Ready to rock and roll?
Yep.
As it starts to move, get it a bit more mumbo.
Okay.
If you're just spinning wheels, stop.
Yep.
But if you get traction and bite and you start to overrun the rope,
Yep.
back off a little bit, slow down, let it catch up, let it take the load up.
Oh, the shame of it all, getting winched out by an Amaron.
Normal snatch strap, you'd take up the slack and then you'd have to wait for it to do its job. And that usually puts load on both vehicles. What the kinetic rope does, it stores that energy. So it has 35% more stretch than a normal snatch strap.
There's no need to take off a million miles an hour doing these sort of recoveries.
Takes all the shock loading off both the tow vehicle and the vehicle being recovered.
That is gentle compared to the old snatch strap, yeah. Well done, Matt. Carbon products saved
How about the driver? How good was that?
Well done, Rob, as well.
Thank you.
How about the co-pilot? Well done by the co-pilot.
That's just rolling that up to put in the back of my vehicle for me. He's donated it. He's figured up this weekend that I actually
Now that it's damaged goods, mate, he can't put it back on the showroom floor like that.
Sorry, Dan.
It's not pretty and clean anymore.
I reckon we just made a few carbon sails.
I think we have. I'll do some quotes later on.
So much smoother than a sash strap.
It is.
After all that drama, we continued up the track.
How's those views, Sam?
It's pretty spectacular, mate. We've been climbing for a while, so I think there's going to be a cracker one at the end, though.
Well, I've been talking about this lookout all bloody day. It's been a challenge to get here, so it definitely is going to be worth it.
After a massive day of climbing all these hills, we get to this amazing view and it was absolutely worth it.
You come out to this small opening and the views are absolutely outstanding.
What do you have to say, Rob?
Thank God we made it.
There's not many places where you get unobstructed views like this.
Such a picturesque place, and even having been up there multiple times, every time you go up there you still find yourself taking a panorama with your phone. It was great to be able to take the rest of the guys up there to have a look.
How awesome is this? We made it to the top. Stunning view, guys, and now we've got a climb to get back down. And I reckon we might take those campers over the rock shelf we climbed up yesterday. Wish us luck, guys. Fingers crossed. See how we go.
By this point, it's like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. We've skipped lunch, and everyone just wants to get back to camp and have a feed. And it's this really nice downhill descent through some beautiful Australian bushland. And then we paused and we had to prepare ourselves for the big descent that we'd done the day before.
We've already been up this track on day one, but you find a lot of this sort of stuff is actually a lot more intimidating when you're coming down. So we planned on coming down to the big rock ledge that we climbed on day one and do it in a different direction. But just above that, there's a couple 100-metre section of track, big rocks, big ruts. There is a line to the left, which is very reasonable, but we're in the Mighty 80 series, so we just bombed straight down the right-hand side, had a bit of fun.
The old 80 series LandCruiser is a legend, possibly even the last of the real Aussie four-wheel drives, with its live front and rear axles and coil suspension. And there's nothing quite like a 30-year-old car to show us all how it's done. Now for the vehicles from a more recent decade.
Damo's gone down. Next was the Amarok's turn. Slowly walking our way down, picking the line. Start winding down a bit more.
As you're coming down, you're trying to control the speed. You've got the car on one angle, the trailer on another, and getting the correct line as you come down proved to be slightly more of a challenge than I think most of us had anticipated. A few bumps and scrapes on the way down. You hear a knock under the car and you assess it later, but Simon's really good at guiding us down, picking the right lines, having a bit of traction the whole way, and doing it in a controlled manner. When Rob came down, he definitely slightly bigger trailer, slightly more top heavy, had a bit more of a rock in the trailer.
Done like a champion.
The last main challenge on the way back down is the big rock section with the big ravine in it. It looks like such a different thing. From the day before, you've got this big rock face in front of it and you're like, how am I going to get over that? From the top, all you see is like the edge of this rock and you basically just got to commit and then enter your way in and you know where you got to go.
The key when you're doing anything like this, full driving with large rocks or any obstacles that are going to cause issue for ground clearance, I know it's very tempting to put the rock in the center of the car so you miss it. The correct thing to do is actually put wheels on the obstacles. I know it makes the car a little bit off camber, but if the wheels are on the rock, it can't conceivably do any damage to critical components, gearbox pans, sumps, etc, etc. So wheel placement is absolutely key when you're doing anything like this.
Damo's walked down this thing. Next up's the Amarok turn. This rock ledge, the day before, had trouble getting up, so I was sort of wondering what line I'm going to pick there. There's a small ravine here. This is the part you did not want to fall in. First go, no worries.
I've decided straight away I'm going to straddle the ravine and I'm going to just make my way down. But you can't see how much space there is under the car. And you know that your right hand wheel is just on the edge of a rock, so you've got to be careful not to move too far to the left. Through a little bit of guidance from Simon to keep the trailer on the ledge, made our way over and down through unscathed. Rob's turn next, less grip in the tyres, slightly heavier trailer, down he comes.
With 2 tonne of offline camper behind me. It was a little bit scary. Strategy wise, we had it in low 1, both diff locks in, and on the trailer brakes as well.
Rob did an awesome job. A little bit more banging, a little bit more crashing.
It was hitting all of the underbody protection.
But we had a lot of fun and he got through relatively unscathed. Well done, buddy.
Thank you.
Well done. Very well done.
Woohoo! With the most notorious obstacle now out of our way, it was smooth sailing back to camp, or at least that's what we thought.
There's a lot of oil here. Hey, camera crew, can someone check the sump of your car, please?
Yep, we've done the sump.
Thankfully, we happen to know a guy with a workshop close by.
We've made it to Stay Tuned, where we're going to get some repairs done. The guys have miraculously been able to order in a replacement sump, and it looks to be the exact right part too. So stay tuned, we'll get this out, throw that away, get the new one in, and we'll be good to drive home. That is awesome. I love it. Thank you so much.
What an amazing couple of days. It was a great group of guys to hang around with.
They've done quite well. A couple of Iveco and Isuzus bit the dust, both broke CVs.
What I found the best was everybody coming together, everybody helping out. From an outsider looking in, it was good to watch.
Thanks to 4Drive TV for having us.